Yeah.
So one of my pet peeves, like I don't have a lot. I have a few, and they always stick out to me. I know you pick things apart more than I do, but like I don't know if it's how I was trained or what, but like I like this tag match. It was kind of a like an old school like basic psychology tag match. But one of the things that, and I'm sure you don't, I'm sure you notice it too. But like, so Cody's taking heat. He's taking heat. So the idea now, when you're that beat up, you're doing anything you can to try to make that tag. You got to tag out.
Yeah.
So like, one thing that bugs me is like when a guy will go like there'll be a hope spot and he'll like shoot the guy off to the ropes or try to do something instead of just diving to your corner and trying to make the tag. So Cody did that a couple times. I have to go back and watch like some Arn tag. I don't know if they used to do that back in the day too, but I'm assuming back in the day they didn't. They wouldn't be doing spots. They're just trying to go tag.
Yeah, they would a lot they wouldn't make their own comeback for the most part. But you would see them sometimes not go for the tag and go for something like I guess it's so one of the things that was kind of like on the fence was kind of like a sunset flip. So like, and you're the master of the sunset flip, so you could speak to this with experience. But so if let's say you're taking heat and someone goes to shoot you off and give you a backdrop, now you can do a sunset flip because it's defensive, like it's there. You know what I mean? Like you're already coming. Yeah, you're coming back. You're trying to pin the guy, but then that's also like it's not really giving him anything because he's not really hitting any offense, but it's like catching him by surprise. But you could also make the argument that even that would somewhat devalue the hot tag a little bit because it showed that you were aware and alive enough that you were able to perform an offensive maneuver. So, nowadays you'd be lucky if all they did was a sunset flip. But, most of the time they just make their own fucking comeback and then fall down and start crawling. You know what I mean? Which is like, that's one of the huge problems I have with wrestling now is the way the guys go into their hot tags, which are never hot, and the way they make their own comeback and then fall down to the ground selling. It's like, oh, I just got to get my shit in and then I can fall down on the ground. Like Seth Rollins or whatever, like my knee hurts. Oh, but let me just do this crazy Phoenix splash first. Ow, my knee. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
It's just like, just stop it. Just either don't sell your leg or don't do any moves, but don't do both.
Yep.
And so to your point, yes, as tag team specialist, it drives me nuts. I can't even look at tag team wrestling the same. Not even, the Revival. Everybody loves the Revival and shit, and they think they're a great tag team. I'm just like, I guess they might be the best today, but that's still one of the worst tag teams there is. You know what I mean? It's just like the art is lost. It's gone. And even when you go back and look at those old tapes, you'll find a lot of stuff they did that, they just it's not what they would do now. Like if they could go back into those younger bodies with their brains now, they wouldn't do those things.
Yeah, ironically enough, Arn and Tully were on Jericho's podcast, and they were talking about working Road Warriors and fucking Rock and Roll Express. I didn't finish it yet, but thus far it's been really good.
Yeah, it's good listening to those guys. Tully doesn't say much actually, which is kind of disappointing because Arn has his own weekly podcast, so I hear enough of him. I don't mean it to sound like I'm tired of Arn. I don't get to hear Tully that much at all, so I'd be interested in his viewpoints on things too. But yeah, so those guys back in the day, the focus for heel tag teams was like dragging the babyface back before they can make the hot tag to build the anticipation and let them get closer every time. Like you ideally you want, the highest point you could get would be the false tag, like where the ref didn't see it, and then you got that's the last step. And then after that, you got to go right into the tag right after that. Cause you'll never get the people more heated, than that moment, So, but yeah, that's what a lot of it was. It was just beating up on the guy and letting him sell. And, some tag teams, a lot of babyface tag teams were just, since it was called in the ring, they had to listen to what they were told. And some guys weren't even that good. So you take the guy can make a less good comeback and make him be the one that sells. So it's pretty simple, but that's a little, that's a little too detailed for an AEW discussion. If
I
the
know.
entire roster just sat down and listened to what we just talked about, their eyes would just glaze over. You know what I mean? They have no fucking clue what we're talking. And even guys like Kazarian and Daniels, you know what I mean? Like they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?" But yeah, so no, what's important here on AEW for tag teams is when you challenge uh, when you challenge another tag team to apologize to your mom on a speakerphone match. That's what we need from our tag teams here.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, a little. Okay.